as well. Hello chat. Hello. I'm gonna put this one back in the case. Because it's barely working and I cannot be bothered. So yeah. And I accidentally clicked the clip button. Time to delete a clip off my Twitch clip collection dashboard. Cause yeah. Anyways, how are you doing today, chat? How are you doing? Today we are continuing the Twisted Karma and his last bow case that we started on Monday? Yeah, we started on Monday. So yeah, we'll probably not finishing it, like continuing it. I don't know, I can't remember if I just said finishing it or continuing it, but yeah, we're continuing it today. I don't know if we're actually gonna finish it today. And shit, I didn't get a video of the week out. I've looked for it now actually. I don't actually know. This week has just been like blipped past. Absolutely. But you know what happened? I think it was, I can't remember if I mentioned this on Wednesday. I might have, but I managed to get I think I actually did, yeah. I actually got the Geo video, the Geo and Co video, recorded, and so I just need to edit it together. So I'm either gonna edit it tomorrow or Monday, so it should be out by next week at the latest, hopefully. And plus let me have a look when I'm next working. I'm working Saturday, and then I'm working Sunday, and then I'm not in for the entire week and next in Saturday, and then I'm only in the next couple of Sundays. So next week will be like the latest when the Geo and Co video will be out, and hopefully I should have it out by the latest next Friday, but I'm not sure. Let me have a little look. It's been a while since I watched some of these. I haven't watched many videos this week. I was meaning to watch some, but then I just didn't. So yeah. Let's grab this one. So let's share it. Copy the link. And this one is, I have two instances of a mixed up open, because I had the general version, the original version, and the command editor, so I can edit the video essays command. So this video essay of the week is the internet's weirdest videos. Black Room Suit by Dollface3, whose channel I've been obsessing over recently. I love her videos. Honestly, they're great. They are great, and I'm gonna write on the board what we're playing. I'm gonna do it in black. Because I have my black pen. Okay. Let me see if this will actually come up. I'm trying to look into the OBS thing, like the stream tracker, video tracker, whatever. And this is gonna be weird. But there's some letters that are just easier to write like this than others. Like for example, the C in Ace is much easier to write. And it's like, how do I space things out after the A? And the O's aren't too hard to write. Hopefully that's okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we have we have to the left. So we're back on the Twisted Karma and his last bow. And so we have half of the trial left. And then we also have the last investigation as well. So what I think I might do is try and get through this part of the trial, and then we'll see how far we can get through the investigation. If we can finish it today, if we can finish this case today, that would be great. But I'm not planning on it. I'm not totally planning on completely finishing this case today. Just cause like we did the first investigation on Monday, then did the first part of the trial on Wednesday. So I don't know how long this stream will take, depending on how tired I will be. Luckily tomorrow I think I'm in at 2:30, I believe. Is it 2:30? Yeah, 2:30 till 6:30. So yeah, I'm in 2:30 till 6:30 tomorrow. So not having I can like stay up later today and stream and probably try and get some editing done tomorrow. Just getting the the recording cut down, and hopefully maybe getting some of the clips in that I recorded off of YouTube. I literally stole it off Lego's YouTube. Hopefully I don't get copyright strikes for the clips, but I don't think they'll be that bad. Hopefully. I mean, I'll try and use like my face mostly in the videos, just be like some clips I'm just gonna add in for like a little bit of context. How many clips do I have actually? I think most of the clips I have are from Dragon's Rising, and I kind of want to rewatch the Royal Blacksmith episode from season 1, just so that I can get some clips from that. So I'll have to skim over that. Tomorrow. Either I'm gonna do that tomorrow, or I'm gonna do that Monday. So yeah. Anyways, let's get back into the trial. Back into the trial. I almost forgot to switch my scene there. This is trial part 1, but I know it's not trial part 1 because we did that yesterday. Wednesday. Oh, there you are, Otto. What kept you, my dear fellow? Hello, Mr. Sholmes, Gina. You sure about what you said in there? That the boss, actually died the day before? It's pretty hard to swallow. God, I feel bad for Gina. Yeah, I was shocked by the revelation too, Gina. As was I. Possibly more shocked than both of you. It's not a competition, Mr. Sholmes. But I was more shocked than all of you put together. This is the autopsy report in question, is it? Yeah, it's strange that there's no time of death noted. Yeah, it's like they was unsure of the time of death. I suppose it's a simple explanation, or perhaps it was a deliberate omission. Oh dear, if it was deliberate, it puts me in mind of the last case we worked on, and Dr. Scythe. I know. Anyway, it seems that on the day before Lord Van Seeks discovered his body, Inspector Gregsonos investigated the Red-Headed League. So perhaps something happened with them. Yeah, maybe with the, Dr. Scythe, maybe the corruption in kind of forensic medicine side of the legal world is way more corrupt than we were originally led to believe with just Dr. Scythe. Maybe there's more morticians and mortuary assistants and whoever the fuck that are actually more corrupt in this world than we were originally led to believe with just being Dr. Scythe. Come to think of it, you had trouble with those league men too, didn't you, Mr. Sholmes? You were taken in by that trick. No. Naturally, I wasn't taken in as you put it. My sleuth-hound interest was merely piqued slightly by the rare scent of a weekly £4 income. And that scent masks the underlying scent of deception, I suppose. The two criminals in question are the pair we saw being arrested yesterday, aren't they? In Mr. Sholmes' suite, I mean. That's right, Suze. And it was me what took him in. Thanks to a tip-off by a good law-abiding citizen. Like you. Indeed, yours truly. So it's going to be that pair in the witness stand next, is it? So something doesn't quite make sense to me, though. The day before Inspector Gregson was found, you hadn't had trouble with the Red-Headed League yet, had you? Where would the Inspector have been investigating them? Well, the likely explanation would be that Gregson's own sleuth hound interest was piqued by the rare scent of a weekly £4 income. Don't tar him with the same brush as you, Sholmes. Yeah, well, then there's the whole issue of Inspector Gregson being investigated by Lord Van Zeeks for some reason. The Reaper, the Red-Headed League, Inspector Gregson, Lord Van Zeeks, and Kazuma. I feel as though he knew we'd arrive at this point somehow. Gosh, I think you're right. I mean, to be fair, he does kind of know your tricks. Because one, he was a defense attorney. He was studying to be a defense attorney. Second of all, you were like best friends for fucking ages, man. And like these two have obviously like kind of slightly drifted apart during the course of this case. And like there's been like some tension, not drifted apart in the sense of like, oh, they've just been busy, just in the sense of like there's been like kind of tension between them. So like Kazuma knows like his tricks. So it wouldn't be surprising if he knew we would lead up to this point at the moment. What's he really trying to achieve here today? No idea actually, because I don't think that Kazuma would want Van Zeeks to necessarily be convicted. But also he wants like true justice, so he's probably like kind of conflicted in a way. All the answers will soon be revealed. Observe the time, my dear fellow. This recess will be over very shortly. Yeah, you're right. Kazuma was determined that he should be the one to prosecute this trial. And he was determined that I should take the defense. Just what is it that he's hoping to make me see, I wonder? I get the feeling we're a long way from the end of this trial yet. Are you ready then, Miss Susato? Yeah. Let's go then. Let's go, go, go. Let's go. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed court hearing of Barok Van Zeeks, here present, who stands accused of murder. Now then, Prosecutor Asogi. My lord, have you summoned the witnesses as requested? Yeah, the two members of the Red-Headed League who planned and carried out the deception. They arrived not long ago from the local prison by police carriage. Very good. Bailiff, usher the two men into the court. Okay, we have the two members of the Red-Headed League here. These two men are currently being held by the police on suspicion of attempted extortion. You may omit your occupations, but your names, but state your names for the court. I am Fabian de Rousseau, a descendant of the Rousseau family from Nice en France, and my name is Peppino de Rossi. So we've got Rousseau and Rossi. I am the third son of the great familia de Rossi, the landowners from Napoli. The two members first became acquainted at a boarding school for European nobility. Fascinating. Those who graduate from Temsic are the future leaders of Europe. But do you have any idea how boring it is to be born with noble blood? Alas, I'm making my mission to get to the better of the world by employing the little grey cells of my brain. That is all I am trying to do. So that's the only reason for this whole grand deception you've been carrying out? You could say that. Now, Bade, here's the grand ideals, but the petty plans. This strange combination is the charm of the hilarious brothers. See, Capo? My brain is not gonna function well with their accents. Listen to me, Peppino. I have two things to say to you. Che? Are you about to tell me one of your grandy anecdotes? Aviva. Firstly, I want you to stop calling me this Capo. And secondly, we are not the hilarious brothers. This is serious business. Pillow, there it is, the Capo's trumper card, the furrowed brow. It is deep on Capo, the furrow, and the meaning of your words. The court has been led to believe that under the banner of the Red-Headed League, you have conspired to swindle money from unsuspecting members of the public. Is this true? Sister. And what exactly was the nature of this deception by which you plan to defraud? I'm gonna turn down the music a little bit. Alos, I will explain it. No, Capo. Leave it to me. As you see, we both have the vivid red hair, no? At school, we were teased for this without pity. The Capo here accused many tyrants behind the schoolhouse, crying like the Trevi fountain. Those dogs, one day, the world will respect us redheads. Every night he would bury his head in his pillow. C'est bien, Peppino. Enough. I will explain the rest. The first step was the newspaper advertisement. Also, I love how, like, his face reminds me of like Soseki's in a way, because it looks hand drawn in a way, kind of like how Soseki's face looks kind of hand drawn. I love Greatest Attorney, because I think I might have mentioned this last stream, but with Greatest Attorney, there's such like so many characters that look so like starkly different in a way where you can't even tell they're from. You probably like wouldn't even, like, if you just had the character models, you probably wouldn't even tell that some characters were from the same game. Like, for example, Peppino and Barok from Zeeks. Like, if you just had their character models and no context clues, you probably wouldn't even guess they're from the same game. I mean, maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't, I don't know. About 1 week before the plan was put into operation, we listed the same notice in every paper in London. Yeah, we saw that notice. It was this one, I believe, entitled to the Red-Headed League. Sister, I'm honored that you have seen it. It says that the only condition for joining the league is having flame-colored hair, and that if you satisfy the interview panel and are admitted into the league, you could receive a weekly income of £4. On the day specified, red-headed hopefuls gathered in droves at a park specified in the advertisement. And from each person present, this pair took an application fee of 5 shillings. And with the money, to France. It was a plan most elegant, none. No, it was most dishonourable. But to be frank, I'm stunned anybody was foolish enough to be taken in by such an obvious trick. Hell, look. The park was described by one witness as choked with red-headed folk, like a Costa's orange barrel. And the day on which all these men gathered to apply was the day before the victim was discovered. Crucially, these two men spoke face to face with every single person present that day. I have seen more red-headed people in one day than I will see of the rest of my life. See, and now every time I see Capo's hair, I feel. What does he feel? I accidentally skipped through that part. I feel sick to my stomach. Anyway, what have we been summoned here today? Sorry? The date for our trial was not until tomorrow, I was told. Naturally, neither of these men have been told any details about this trial. They've only been shown this photograph. Okay. Very good. So, Mr. De Rosal, Rusal. I'm gonna say Rosal. Is it Rosal or Rusal? I don't know. And Mr. De Rossi, you will now give your formal testimony for the court on the subject of the gentleman pictured in this photograph. Of course, we are always ready to help with the law. Yeah, definitely. These witnesses will definitely not lie at all. That's all our law. Okay, court record first, because I want to look through the evidence again. So we have the Red-Headed League advertisements, maybe who with the saying that Ezekiah Hopkins, died. We need another member of the Red-Headed League. That's the advertisement. And then we've got a photograph of what's his face, Mr. Vigil. Can't remember his first name. These guys are very irrelevant. The Vigils are very irrelevant at the moment. Not gonna lie. And then got the letter of introduction from Mikatoba to Governor Caden. And then we've got the dismissal notice about Vigil's Detective Daily Vigil. I just got that name. His first name is literally Daily. How did I not notice that? Then we've got the notice of dismissal, basically the reason why he got fired. And then we've got this photo of Evie Vigil that was found on a desk at the scene of the crime. And then we've got the candelabrum that was, this part was shot. This part of the candle was shot at the scene of the crime. And then we've got the red hair piece that presumably belonged to Gregson. It was found on Gregson's body, but we don't know. Then we've got the revolver, which I think we kind of said like, oh, this might not actually be the murder weapon. Someone else might have used Gregson's gun and not this one that everyone believes belongs to Barok van Zieks. But that might not be the case because because it hasn't been proven that who this revolver belongs to, because even though every member of the judiciary, every lawyer or whatever has been given a gun, and the reason why Ryunosuke hasn't been given a gun is probably because he's just a student. But yeah, everyone and a lot of people in this world, surrounding this case, have been like, oh, maybe this is Van Ziek's gun, because this is definitely Van Ziek's gun, because Van Ziek had supposedly lost his, but there's no actual proof. It's just a coincidence that he lost his at the same time, before, so close to the actual crime taking place. And then we've got this policeman figure that becomes, when you twist its head, she's a key. And then we've got this photograph of Clint Van Zieks, Barok Van Zieks, and then Inspector Gregson. And then we've got the autopsy report of Gregson. And then we've got this crime scene floor plan. We did suggest that yesterday, on in the last part of the trial, that this had actually been moved over to here-ish. So when Barok was over here, he couldn't actually see the body until he went down to pick something up or something. Can't fully remember. And then we've got the noteboard, the titular noteboard, and this handprint is upside down. This bloody handprint is upside down, which is that is a very unnatural position for your hand to be in. a very awkward position, especially if you like lift it up high. That is a very awkward position, and you would not like if I tried to put like my hand against. That is a very awkward position, and I would not easily be able to face it like flat like that on the top of a notice board. So it must have like fallen over or something. And then we've got these firecrackers that we got from the witness called Venus. And sounds very similar to a gun. Then with which may have made the witnesses' testimonies like slightly kind of invalid, not invalid, but kind of invalid, but not really, because they say that they heard of a gunshot, but it may have actually been these. And then we've got a photograph of Gregson wearing like the red wig. And then we've got Gregson's pocket watch, which he apparently won from like this like police award thing. I don't really remember the context. And he won it up every day for like 10 years without fail. Okay, now to the witness testimony. We had more than 1,000 red-headed people assembled in the park on Lime Street that day. But I don't recall the man in this photograph. Eye Kappa? No, I don't remember him. Obviously he is dead now, but I assure you he was not in the park. So you say you don't remember him, but then you say, I assure you he was not in the park. That seems like you do remember him though. This victim has nothing to do with us. You have a lot to answer this for, Peppino. It is your fault that we got caught in the first place. You've given sworn testimony that this man in the photograph was not present. Can you be certain? Oui. I am quite certain. You did not interview this man. You did not interview him, but you did see him in the park. Nobody looking like this came to the park. This I can promise. It must be noted that you have been arrested for a grand deception, however. Accordingly, this court has little confidence in your assurances. Yep, Alpha. With this attitude, we get nowhere, huh? He's really sulking now. This confidential document was obtained directly from Scotland Yard. It records an entry from the inspector's private diary dated the day before the incident. It reads, Lime Street, Red-Headed League, undercover. Ah, I have the answer. Maybe there was another similar event in the park on the day in question, That is ridiculous. There is no question that Inspector Gregson was investigating the Red-Headed League, which means it's quite possible that that's when he was killed. Very well. The defense may proceed with the cross-examination now. Ah, yes, my lord. Okay, first, let's go and do a little save. But yeah, statement 3, the first statement. That one is definitely weird. Oh wait, I misinterpreted that all wrong. I misinterpreted that statement all wrong. I thought he was saying, and obviously he said now, but I assure you he was not dead in the park. But no, he just meant, oh, I assure you he wasn't in the park to begin with. He wasn't there at all. I was going to press that one anyways, because that's the only one I have. But according to what you've said, you spoke with 1,000 or more people that day. Oh, wait, that's true. My eyes were burning by the end of the day. Surely that you can't actually remember every single face. How are you so certain that this particular man wasn't present? Normally, the red hair is very distinctive, But not when you have 1,000 redheads crowding around. Then it is just an eyesore. But if there was some other information you could give us, maybe then we would recall. That is not the line, Peppino. Remember, we do not remember him. We are sure of that factor. But if there was a man with a red hairpiece, but his mustache did not match the color, then I do not think I could have forgotten him. Customer said that these two have only shown their photograph and they'd been told nothing else at all. What if I fed them just one other detail about the victim? For example, his profession. I can certainly appreciate that just knowing the man had red hair wouldn't help you remember in the situation. What if I told you that the man in the red hair piece was actually a detective? The man in the photographs a detective? Yeah. It would appear he found a notice in the paper suspicious and decided to investigate incognito. Sorry, but this changes nothing. Oi?
Excuse me!
Oi? What are you on about, mate? What are you... Something to add, Mr. De Rossi? Yeah, see, I'm always adding something. Parmesan, olive oil, pepper. What I mean is, did you not agree with your friend's last remark by any chance? Yeah, what did he just say about the detective? You know, keep your mouth shut, Peppino. You have said it enough already. Well, why, Capo? What's the problem? There was a man who said, I'm an inspector from Scotland Yard. What? Good lord. Which I assume to be Gregson. Order! Explain this explain this volte face in your testimony, witness. It's simple. A man who was at the park said to us that there was no such man. Madai! Oh, what are you saying, Capo? Have you forgotten I've forgotten nothing. Nobody like this came to the park. Basta, Capo, basta. You beat me at many things, but not to the memory and the meals. Like I said, when it is time to eat the pasta, no one is a faster. But you are inferior to me in every other way.
Objection!
So shut up. And I'm gonna check this thing real quick. Triptard. The damage is done. Indeed it is, sir. Wait, there was a man who came to the park and he said he was an inspector from Scotland Yard. However, he looks nothing like the man in the photograph. He was someone else. How can you be so sure? Because, to start with, his face was completely different. Are they talking about Sherlock? Not Sherlock, Herlock. Are they talking about Herlock Sholmes? So it's true. The man who came was a younger. His face was a clean shaven. His eyes were sadder. His chin was thinner. No resemblance whatsoever then. So it was Herlock. Anyway, I was not going to be fooled. I took the obvious precaution and said to him, if you are really a detective, show us the proof. See, the capo here. He doesn't take a no-nonsense eye. But he was well prepared. He said he had identification. Identification? You mean official police inspector identification? That is most unconvincing. Sorry, my lord? Counsel, no incognito inspector would offer his identification for inspection. It is quite out of the question. Definitely. Why would he expose his true identity? Because it's fucking Herlock. Who else? Clearly, papers were fake. Certo, Capo, you are a genius. As we say in Italia, it takes a thief to recognize another eye. And what happened after he announced that he was a detective? You became very annoying. He said you are under investigation. So I took his papers from him and chased him out of the park. It was fantastico. And look, here is the identification. So he stole it from the man. He had it coming. He made us very scared. But he was not who he said he was. Indeed, the person described does not appear to have behaved as a true inspector would. However, I believe it would be prudent for these identification papers to be entered into evidence. but I like them. Okay, that's been added. Is it truly that? Is it who I think it is? It lets return to the witness's testimony. I think. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Alright, let me open it. Let me open it, please. Let me open it. There we go. Well, I suppose we should see what this inspector's identification looks like inside. Okay. Yeah, it definitely looks fake, doesn't it? Out of interest, what name is given? Probably just something plucked out of the air. It's Tobias Gregson. Gregson. Hey, what? This Scotland Yard insignia looks genuine to me. But how? And the department and identification number details are all correct as well. Since when have you known those? Do you mean to say? I know it seems incredible, but yeah. I think this is a genuine identification book issued by Scotland Yard. But that's unbelievable. This is the real thing after all. So that's genuinely Gregson's identification. Okay, let's present it then. Let's present it, let's see. Let's present it on this.
Objection!
I wonder if I could ask you to identify the words. I wonder if I could ask you to examine the identification book very closely, Miss Lestrade. Why Miss Lestrade? Why Miss Lestrade? What's your intention here, Counsel? Is this really a fake or is it genuine? That's the question, which we can't answer ourselves. So you're gonna ask Gina, who works for Scotland Yard, under Gregson. Don't be ridiculous. No Scotland Yard detective would allow his or her identification to be stolen. Let her examine it. That is the boss's. No question about it. It can't be. As I suspected. The undercover detective who attended the Red-Headed League's enrollment on the day in question was the real Inspector Gregson, carrying out an incognito investigation. Is there a laws? Unless it was, Herlock who stole his identification. Order. But if the boss had his identification stolen, he would have reported it straight away. I mean, he was always on to me about it. If you lose it, report it at once, he'd say. Could it be then that the inspector was physically unable to report it? Because he was dead? Physically, what are you saying? Unable to? You're not suggesting that he was dead? Yeah, it's quite possible that he was killed before he had the chance to report his identification stolen. No. Order. The defense posits that the victim was killed the day before his body was discovered at a different location. Do you two have anything to say about that? I know nothing. I don't know nothing. Put yourself together, Peppino. Mind you can behave a little more like a master criminal than that, non. Now I wish I had returned to Italia. Stop crying, Peppino, please. Otherwise, Lume, stop your whining and start talking. Well, I believe the court will need to hear your story in considerably greater detail. I know nothing. I don't know nothing. We're not accusing you at this very moment, but you will tell everything or face the worst possible outcome. Just say shit. You'll dry your eyes and testify again about these identification papers and the precise circumstances under which you came by them. For crying out loud. Jeez. Okay, we've got another witness testimony. Okay. Yeah, the truth is we took him prisoner and kept him for the night at our secret hideout. Even though I didn't think he was a real detective, I was too scared to let him go that day just in case. We took the man's identification from him and shut at him in the room next to ours. There might have been a little tussle, but we did him no harm, and the next morning we let him go. He spent the night in a nice room. It was nothing like a prison, really. Okay. This is outrageous. You imprisoning the man? But no. It was not like a prison. He was very comfortable and calm and happy. You still imprisoned him, though. I capo? It was never part of my plan, I swear it. So you think it was my fault, just because I got the day very wrong by one a little day? I do not think it was your fault, Peppino. I know it. No. Per favor, capo. It is not fair. You shall have plenty of time for squabbling back at the prison, gentlemen. I don't believe this. How could he have been a real detective? Counsel for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination. So the day before the incident, Gregson spent the night confined in this pair's hideout. Cross-examination time. Okay, first, saving time. This one should be question.
Hold it!
This one, maybe? What do you mean by a little tussle exactly? Huh? But it was nothing. Just a minor incident. The Photo Inspector, he was a real piece of the work. I capo? What happened? It was a disaster. We gave him a nice room, and what does he do? In the middle of the night, he tries to escape through the ventilator. Can you blame him? We chased him, bien sure, and we caught him again. So double imprisonment. Can you blame us? Wait, you didn't shoot the man in your haste, did you? Who do you think we are? Of course not. I simply caught hold of him and took him back to the room.
Excuse me.
Huh. Mr. De Rossi, is something wrong? Me? Something Mr. De Rosal just said seemed to make you, it seemed to make you act even more strangely than usual. What's that all about? Cavallo, at times like that, you don't want to have the capo after you, believe me. And I speak from personal experience there. Personal experience? That is enough, Pino. There's no need to say more. The truth is, the night before we put the Red-Headed League plan into action, I was scared. It was not fair to the capo, but I tried to run away. It's a shame you didn't manage it. But the capo here, he came after me like the turbiner, and he dragged me back to the house, kicking and screaming. I still have the bruises to prove it. Aye, capo? Bruises, you say? Ah, you wanna see her? You wanna see my fantastical bruises? That's enough now, Peppino. Nah, that's enough now, Peppino. No one wants to look at any part of you. What to do, huh? I assure you, or I don't. I assure you, or I don't. You do, now. Alright, if everybody wants to see, then I'll do it. Okay, Echo C is still very visible, eh? I swear I saw something. Did Gregson have a similar? Oh wait, no, it wasn't Gregson. No, was it Gregson? There was somebody else who had a red ring around their neck, and I cannot remember who. I remember seeing it somewhere. Was it Gregson? Or was I just like absolutely imagining that? I don't remember. That red ring around your neck, you got that when you were dragged back to the house? See, the capo, sometimes he is a very wrong. I said that's enough. Peppino's neck is nothing to do with what we are talking about here. You have my word. Yeah. What is your opinion, Council? About this red ring around Mr. De Rossi's neck, I wonder, does it matter? It's important. Mr. De Rossi, I'm going to have to ask you to amend your testimony with details about that mark on your neck. Alright, Capo, you see? Everyone is interested in what I say, Very well. You amend your testimony as requested, Mr. De Rossi. Cece, if you really want to know. He tried to escape, but the capo pulled the collar on him and dragged him back, like what he did to me, see? But we just looked at Gregson's thing, and he doesn't look like he has a red ring around his neck, so... Objection! That. So the day before his body was discovered, Inspector Gregson was taken prisoner while working incognito. Oh no, it was not like that. It was hardly a prison, it was an invitation to stay. You forced him into the room, you dragged him to that room. It was only. However you described it, there's one glaring inconsistency that remains. What inconsistency is this, Council? I would ask the court to look closely at his photograph of the victim, Inspector Gregson. You'll see that there's no red ring visible around his neck. Yeah, but that makes no sense. It was me who took the collar off the man in the morning, and I saw the red bruises on his neck just like I have. Given that the mark is still clearly visible on this witness's neck, we'd expect to see bruises on the victim who was put in the collar more recently than Mr. De Rossi. Indeed, that is most peculiar. But what we tell you, we say this from the beginning, many times. Peppino is right. The man in the photograph, he's someone different to the man we held captive that night. Okay. Order. It would appear then that on the day before the incident, the man who visited the park on Lime Street posing as an incognito inspector was not Inspector Gregson at all. If that's true, however, how do you explain the inspector's identification? This is a genuine identification book issued by Scotland Yard. It's inconceivable that someone could have stolen such an important item from the inspector. The prosecution made that assertion itself. And we also know that the inspector had made a note about the red-headed league in his diary for that day, which surely means we can't divorce the two events completely. The inconsistency noted by the defense is most troubling. If it were the real Inspector Gregson these two red-headed gentlemen encountered, the fact that no bruising can be seen around his neck defies explanation. But equally, if they actually encountered an imposter, how did that person come to be in possession of the real inspector's identification? Does the defense have some plausible explanation, Counsel? The whole thing defies explanation. It is for precisely these occasions that we keep meticulous notes in the court record, Mr. Naruhodo, because those are the facts and the facts cannot lie. No, the facts can't lie. Even when they point to something so incredible, it's almost unbelievable. Well, my lord, the true identity of the person who turned up in the park for the Red-Headed League's enrollment is revealed by information in the court record, I believe. Good gracious. Very tantalizing, Mr. Naruto. So don't you help us all to see whatever truth is that you've apparently seen? Who exactly was this inspector that appeared before Mr. DeRossi and Mr. DeRossi? I'm gonna say the imposter. Because I have a feeling that Gretchen was already dead at this point. And that he didn't die on the day after, he died on the day of the Red-Headed League interview thing. Though it seems incredible, I admit the undeniable facts point to only one thing. Since no bruising can be seen on the victim's neck, the person who these two red-headed men took prisoner that day cannot have been Inspector Gregson. In other words, your whole argument up to now has been a waste of time. Objection. On the contrary, I haven't finished. What? Yeah. There's no bruising on the victim's neck, so the question immediately posed next is, who exactly was this man in the park on Lime Street found to be carrying Inspector Gregson's identification? See, that's alright, we tell the same story all the time. Whoever this man was, the capo dragged him from a pillar to a post with the dog collar. One diao, Peppino, I was not so harsh as you say it. So who was that false inspector, eh? Who was it? Clearly, the defense has an idea about that. But the true identity of the man these two in prison that night. I must ask the counsel for the defense to elaborate post-haste. Who did the witnesses encounter in the park posing as Inspector Gregson? Oh, I would say Herlock, but I'm not too sure about that now. Okay, we're not. Oh, wait, yes, use previous. Yeah, I was using arrow keys to try and go look through there. So who could it have been? Wait. He has the mark around his neck. He's the only one that has the mark around his neck.
Take that!
Goodness me, isn't that one of our witnesses? One of the witnesses who was in the stand in this very courtroom earlier today. A nameless man whose only occupation appears to be peddling hearsay to passers-by. Whatever on earth would a street seller be doing with a police inspector's identification papers? Witnesses, is this the man or not? What has happened to his lip? See, this man is not for the red-headed league eye. He's looking for the twisted lip league, no? I did 5 minutes, guys. I did 5 minutes. Perhaps rather than making such a rash claim next time, you should buy your lip instead. It seems improbable, yes, but one undeniable fact remains. During his testimony earlier, I noticed something around the man's neck. A red ring of bruising. What? The defense demands that Mr. Gossip be brought back to the stand. Okay, so we're gonna probably get some testimony from Gossip then? Order, bailiff. Bring the aforementioned witness back into the courtroom. Immediately. There he is. Well, I never. An undeniable ring of bruising indeed. And identical to that of the witness beside him. Know what's going on here, eh? I've always had this, mate. It's a birthmark, innit? A birthmark, you say? I assume the reason you've been recalled to the stand has been explained to you? So about an inspector again. But I'm telling you, you've got it all wrong as usual. You're denying all knowledge of it? Well, of course I am. Are you trying to kill me with all this nonsense there? Well, at least you'll have more stories to peddle back on Fresno Street, won't you? Now, we're going to need you to testify again. And you, Mr. DeRossi and Mr. DeRossi, I'm sure you'll cooperate, won't you? Do we have any choice? We are in a bigger trouble, eh, Capo? That's quite a dilatory chatter. Proceed with the testimony. The man who claimed to be an inspector that day was definitely not this man. It's right to see. You think we would have forgot these grand lips there? I never leave Fresno Street, alright? I'm no interest in any red-headed leagues. I'm all alone in this world, me. I've no kinfolk or nothing. Why would I be involved in something like that? Just look at me, eh? Do I look like I could carry off a disguise with a face like this? It would certainly appear that we have the wrong man. What have I been telling you, huh? There was no need for this pointless testimony. That's right, I'm just a simple peddler, remember? Fresno Street is all I know. How would I have come by a police inspector's identification book, eh? Well, yeah, that's hard to explain, but... A brief cross-examination, I think, counsel. Very brief. Isn't there anyone in this courtroom who thinks I might be onto something? I stand steadfastly at your side as always, Mr. Naruhodo. We love Psssttt. Psssttt is the greatest. And there's just Kazuma who's just like, maybe, but I'm just doing my job as a prosecution. Okay, saving first. Save. Okay, that's maybe this one. Maybe we'll press this one. So, you heard of the Red-Headed League, have you, Aja? You don't get a name like Gossip for nothing, eh? It is my business to know what's going off in town. I told that tidbit to a fair few redheads that came past me. Just between us, I even got a sandwich to cough up for it. Well, he does have a very red nose, if that counts. Who knows? But as you can see, my own hair's not got a hint of red in it. And in any case, Fresno Street is my patch. You won't catch me sidling off to some other part of town. No, sir, not likely. Is that so?
Excuse me.
So? Mr. DeRosa, whatever his name is. Can I help you? Understand soon, by the way, understand soon. Did Mr. Gossip's words just lead you to remember something relevant, perhaps? It was the other day when I was looking for a place near the park. A small house or something. So it'd be the headquarters of your Red-Headed League, yes? I visited an housing agent on Lime Street and there I saw him. This man was paying money to the agent. What? Mr. Gossip with a housing agent? Wait, he had some kind of contract in his hand, and they were clearly discussing terms. But no, you're mistaken, chum. I've never left Fresno Street, like I said before. You mistaken me for someone else, someone with the same face. No, the capo was right, I remember it too. He was a painted man with a banknotes. With notes? Okay, I think I dropped something actually. I think I dropped something. What? There it is. But yeah. Very concerning indeed. Concerning. We could trouble it. We could probably try and get some of the investigation done. This stream? I could probably get some of this done this stream. So at least, maybe try and get all of it done, maybe? I want to try and get at least like half of the investigation done this stream. Yeah, I kind of want to get at least half of it done, and then maybe we can try and get the rest of it done either Sunday or maybe the rest of the stream, maybe? I don't know. Welcome back, chat. Welcome back. With notes? Like I said, that wasn't me. I was curious why this a man with the good dirty clothes had so much money. So I looked at the name on the papers. No, it was the name written, Mr. Gossip. No, this man, he lies. He tells you that he has no name. But in fact, his name is Hugh Boone, I think. It's better than Mr. Gossip, I think. See? He owns the apartment that we found Gregson in. That's suspicious. That is suspicious. No. I'm a peddler of tidbits and of information, like I said, on Fresno Street, and that's that. I don't much like folk talking about my personal life. Indeed. And it is not the intention of the court to invade the privacy of witnesses. Barok, I shall respect your wishes, sir. The aforementioned name shall be redacted from all court records of this trial. So no objections? We have an objection. I'm sorry, my lord, but the defense does object. Because the name just mentioned has a very deep significance to this case. Good gracious, do you similarly object, Prosecutor Sogi? As it happens, my lord, that particular name has already been mentioned during today's proceedings. Well, I never. In what capacity? Hugh Boone, the name of the leaseholder of the room. Let me put this very simply. The victim's body was discovered in your rented room. I suggest, sir, that you start talking. Well, alright. I suppose that might be the case, So your real name is Hugh Boone. Well, just between us, I don't like to blow my own trumpet, but there's no finer peddler of tidbits in town. So I happen to be able to afford a grubby little room in a falling down back street of town. You do? And once every 6 months, I go and pay the rent to the agent of Line on Line Street. I remember now. There were 2 vulgar redheads in there last time. If you tell us who's vulgar, it's not me. Think again, Peppino. Why didn't you bring this up before? It's like I told you already. I don't like talking about my personal life. I'm a tidbit peddler as far as everyone else is concerned. No fuss. You will update your testimony to include this most surprising revelation, Mr. Boone. If I must. So the leaseholder Scotland Yard has been looking for since the body was discovered. Has been here under our noses all along. I read the room where the fellow was found is true for what difference it makes. Wait, he had Mrs. Vigil's photograph on the desk in his room. If you have no kinfolk, as you put it, then explain why is it that among the sparse furnishings you found this photograph in the room. I presume, as you've been renting the room, that this photograph belongs to you, does it not? Well. Mr. Boone, drop the pretense and tell the court exactly who you really are. I don't know what you mean. I'm a peddler. I keep telling you so. You really don't need to bother with me. Please just leave it alone. He's Mr. Vigil, innit? As the man says, leave it alone. Whatever the truth is about this man's life, it has no bearing on this case. And because it's simply not possible that he impersonated Inspector Gregson. How can you be so sure? Just look at the man. No amount of disguise could ever hide those unmissable features. But what if we were to look at this the other way around? What do you mean? Yeah, counsel, what do you mean? Well, there's no denying that Mr. Boone's lip is very prominent indeed. But consider the possibility that his prominent lip is itself part of an elaborate disguise. In hiding that prominent feature, in other words, revealing his true face, would make an utterly impenetrable disguise. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Hugh Boone? So he's in disguise, eh? He's in disguise. Good. Witness, are you hiding the truth? Are you still hiding the truth from the court? If that's a disguise, then underneath it, his true identity must be... Yeah, that's right. There's really only one person he could really be. My lord, the defense believes it can reveal Mr. Boone's true identity to the court. No, please. Please, no. Very well then, counsel. What is the true identity of this peddler who goes simply by the name of gossip on the street? I think we know who. Daily Vigil. The real name is actually Mr. Vigil, isn't it? Mr. Daily Vigil. Ah! I don't recall that name, counsel. Who is this Mr. Vigil? It's a name I encountered yesterday, my lord. It has to do with a certain client of Mr. Herlock Sholmes. A young gentlewoman came to the detective asking him to locate her missing husband. The woman in this photograph, in fact. This is Mrs. Vigil. What? From what I understand, you haven't returned home since the night before the inspector was found dead. But of course, on that night, you were being held captive by the two red-headed League men. And last night, you were put up by the prosecution service in preparation for testifying in this trial, because we'd been led to believe that you, Miss Venus, and Mr. Sandwich were all homeless. Being important witnesses in this case, we needed to know where we could find you, of course. And I mentioned on Wednesday that Sandwich was actually Beppo from the McGilded case. And I don't know who Venus is. I can't tell who it is. Like, let me look actually. People. She does. Wait. I'm gonna look up this character before I say anything. Okay, I was gonna say that she slightly reminds me of Spells. I'm now looking at Spells, Madame Spells. They do look similar, like their face shapes are similar. Like they're similar, but like they're not the same. And like their eyes are different. So yeah, I was originally saying that she looks like Spells, but now I'm looking at her more, it's like, oh, she's not actually Spells. So yeah. Wait, did we read what Kazuma said? Being important witnesses in this case, we need to know where we can find you, of course. And that explains why you've not only been unable to return home, but also unable to contact your wife, who's been beside herself with worry waiting for you at the Vigil residence. Now you just hold on a minute. What am I talking about? Really? It's a simple enough matter to confirm my suspicions. All we have to do is pull off that disguise. No, please. Bailiff, bring up a sponge and a washbowl at once. Mr. Del Rosao and Mr. Del Rossi, you will restrain the witness. Oui, my lord. Si, my lord. No, stop. Get off. Don't. He is who we think he is. He is who we think he is. He is who he said he is. Well, we are now seeing your true features, I presume. Lift your head, sir, so the court can see your face. It would appear that the defense counsel's assertion was entirely correct. This has all been a very elaborate deception. So witnesses, tell the court, have you seen this man before? I don't believe it, but... See, there's no question. This is the inspector we saw in the park. Extraordinary. So he's the one that pretended to be Inspector Gregson. On the day of the Red-Headed League enrollment, the man claiming to be Inspector Gregson who appeared before Mr. De Rosal and Mr. De Rossi in the park was you, disguised as the inspector, or rather, was you posing as the inspector in no disguise at all. Mr. Vigil was formerly employed as the chief warder at Barclay Prison. The chief warder? Then your career had promised. Why would you possibly have become the future governor of the prison? What on earth have you been doing peddling tittle-tattle on Fresno Street? Well, it's been 10 years since Mr. Vigil worked at the prison. 10 years? I'm really dreadfully sorry about all this. Yes, it's true, I am Daily Vigil. And you were the chief warder at Barclay Prison 10 years ago? So where did Mr. Hugh Boone come from? Boone is the other me. It's a name I invented. Well, evidently, there's a great deal under the surface here. I'll explain everything. I'll tell you just how wretched my life has become. Oh God. As you say, it was 10 years ago now that my employment as Barclay's chief warder came to an end. Having left the prison service, I searched for some new occupation by which to earn a wage. But times were hard in London and I found no suitable engagements at all. In desperation one day, I turned my hand at selling wares on Fresno Street. My wife appears to know nothing of this. She still maintains that you are the chief warder at Barclay Prison. I was utterly determined that my wife should not know my feelings, which is why I've never told her. For 10 years? What's her name? It was Evie, right? Yeah, Evie. How is Evie not known? For 10 years? For 10 years. That is a long amount of time. Like, 10 years is a long amount of time to just not know that your husband is unemployed. Like, jeez. I opened an account at the bank under the name of Hugh Boone, and I rented the cheapest room I could find on Fresno Street. The scene of the very crime we're investigating. Yes, that's right. I played so much I could emerge every morning at 8 as a squalid peddler. I transformed myself back every evening at 5 into a well-dressed man about town before returning home. That quickly became my daily routine. Okay, I was supposed to put a lot of furniture in the room. But that explains it. But why on earth didn't you just tell us this in the first place? I have a wife, sir, and 2 sons. And without wishing to sound self-conceited, they regard me with some pride. I couldn't bring myself to disappoint them. So instead you decided to conceal your occupation from them? Yeah. I've made such a terrible mess of everything. Still, one thing doesn't add up. No matter how many tidbits of information you could sell to passing gentlemen, even at 6p apiece, you couldn't hope to match the salary you must have commanded as chief warder at the prison. Very true. To have kept your family in comfort despite 10 years of somewhat misbegotten employment. That was all thanks to Inspector Gregson. Inspector Gregson? What on earth? It was some years after I'd invented Boone and begun my life as a street seller. He, the inspector, that is, recognized me one day. Do you mean to say the victim was an acquaintance of yours? Interesting. I knew him from my time working at the prison. When he saw what I'd become, he was deeply troubled for me and my family. And from that day forward, he visited me on Fresno Street with increasing regularity. Then one day, he asked me if I would carry out a secret assignment for him. A secret... what was it? I was to impersonate the inspector. What? Impersonate him? So he asked... So Gregson asked Vigil to impersonate him. And I assume Inspector Red-Headed League? We always met in that little room so the inspector could brief me. Visit Arxes tomorrow and take a statement from the proprietress. It was always something along those lines. Surveillance work, interviewing people. On those occasions, he would lend me his identification so people would believe who I was. My instructions were to make an impression, to let people know that Inspector Gregson had been at work. And for those services, he compensated me financially. A Scotland Yard inspector willingly relinquished his identification into your care with intent to deceive. That, as I'm sure I need not point out, is a very serious criminal offence. But why? What was the point of you impersonating him? I truthfully do not know. All I can say is that the inspector warned me on numerous occasions. Now remember, Vigil, I need your solemn word. You don't blab about this to anyone, alright? Ever. Even if, well, if I end up a croaker. But he's in court blabbing about this. In time, he started to bring papers with him to the room as well, and became something of a second office to him. So, in fact, the person who declared himself to be Inspector Gregson at the park on Lime Street was really... yes, it was me, acting on the inspector's orders. As usual, I removed my Boone disguise and then went as instructed to the park, armed with the inspector's identification book. It never occurred to me that the bruise on my neck might give me away. That's just like dun, 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 dun. Seemed a lot slower to you guys than usual. I think that was a bit slower than usual. Maybe it's better when accompanied with some music, but you know, I don't have it. I have music on right now because of copyright, because it's kind of copyright. Well, it would seem this confession completely destroys the defense's case. Explain yourself, Prosecutor Asogi. My learned friend's assertion was as follows. The victim was killed at another location on the day before his corpse was discovered. At the hands of those two red-headed league men when they imprisoned the inspector. But no, that can't be. After all, it wasn't the inspector who went to the park that day, it was me. Oh goodness. Finally, we have clarity. We had nothing to do with the murder of the inspector. And merci, Monsieur de la Fence, for proving it. What? Order. Indeed, it would appear that we have reached a de facto conclusion of sorts. These witnesses had no involvement in the murder of the victim. As proven, somewhat ironically, by the defense. Ugh. I hereby call an end to the cross-examination.
Hold it!
Kazuma? Pardon me, my lord, but with your permission, I would like to pose one further question to the witness. Kazuma? What question, counsel? It concerns the events of 10 years ago. I believe you would have been present at a very significant execution that was carried out at the time. 10 years ago? The professor case. The execution of the professor, Genshin Asoge. I want to know exactly what your involvement was. Oh, answer me, man. One moment, counsel. Is this related to the current case? Naturally. It is the prosecution's belief that this case and the events of 10 years ago are inextricably linked. Huh. Does the defense concur, counsel? Kazuma, you're not yourself. You're not as calm and collected as usual. Poor Kazuma-sama. No wonder he's acting this way. Mr. Vigil's memories of what happened 10 years ago would tell the tale of Genshin Asogi's last moments. His own father. I know, I do understand that, but even so... Prosecutor Asogi. Do you genuinely believe that this question requires an answer in order to learn the truth behind Inspector Grenson's death? I need you to trust me, please. Very well. Then the defense has no objection. I see. In that case, you will answer the question, witness. The truth is, I remember very little of that time. You've forgotten? I'm sorry to say, yes. As I said, I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. No, you were fired, weren't you? You was fired, wasn't it? But for some peculiar reason, my memory of the events leading up to that moment is extremely hazy. Does that not strike you as strange, Mr. Naruto? Extremely. Sorry? Well, 10 years is a long time, but I've forgotten the reason why he left such an important job. Yeah, you're right. And not only that... Mr. Vigil's claim contradicts what we already know. The human spirit is a fragile thing. It's broken all too easily, which is why we have a tendency to wrap it up for protection. Sorry? The human spirit? I'm afraid I don't understand what you mean. When we experience pain and suffering that we feel unable to bear, we block it out, obliterate it from our memories, seal it away. But it never truly leaves us. But if the seal is broken, the memories resurface. And when they do, that fragile spirit may finally be crushed. But I really don't. Kazuma-sama. But if it must be crushed, then so be it. Because the truth will not stay buried. It's coming out one way or another. Right, now I understand. It's clear what his intentions are. He means to expose the truth at any cost. Perhaps if I pointed out the contradiction in what Mr. Vigil claimed earlier, it might cause some crucial memories to return to him. But should I? Should I pretend the evidence or not? Yes. I have no idea how this is going to go, but this is a court of law, and I have a duty to pursue the truth. Mr. Vigil, I'd like you to look at this. Evidence that clearly contradicts your version of events. And that... Where is it? The dismissal notice.
Take that!
Just a few moments ago, you made the following statement. I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. Well, yeah. In other words, you claim to have left the post of chief warder of your own volition. Well, yeah, of course. Why? Tell me. Do you remember seeing this document before? No, I don't. This is a dismissal notice ordering the immediate termination of a prison staff member's employment. A dismissal notice? And the name on the notice is yours, Mr. Vigil. What? It's mine? So you didn't resign from the prison service after all. For some reason, you were dismissed as chief warder from Barclay. No, there's been some mistake. I'm sure I tendered my resignation. This dismissal notice is nonsense. Isn't it? If you were forcibly dismissed, there must have been good reason. Clearly, you did something. Mr. Vigil, it's time to break the seal and have you remember. According to the few remaining records, the final execution that you supervised was on the 17th of June, 10 years ago. And on that day, something very serious took place at Barclay Prison. The 17th of June. Was that the professor's execution? Professor, as you were the chief warder at the time, it stands to reason that you would have been present for the proceedings. It does sound familiar. And yet, that execution never took place. The convict, ostensibly executed earlier that day, later re-emerged from his grave. The convict came back to life. In the cemetery in the middle of the night, there was a witness. However, the witness claims that moment after he saw the convict clambering out of his grave, a gunshot rang out from over his shoulder, and the bullet pierced the professor's chest, killing him instantly. Those may have been the professor's actual last moments. Yes. Seeing as you were in charge of overseeing executions at the time, you must know the truth about what really happened. It's in your head, somewhere deep down. Yeah, come on, Vigil. Well, Chief Warder Daily Vigil. I know there are memories in your head that can explain what happened on the 17th of June 10 years ago. And now it's time for you to drag them up. Mr. Vigil. Yes, the whole prison. It was complete chaos. The prisoner escaped. He was killed in the cemetery. The shocking news ripped through Barclay like a hurricane. What? Order! Do you mean to say, Mr. Vigil, that your memories of the time have returned? My head is. It's like some floodgates have been opened. The images, the screams. Oh my goodness. The papers. There were reports, articles about a man who'd seen a ghost. Yeah, Enoch Trevor. But surely these reports were exaggerated. They weren't. There were traces at the scene. Traces of what? In Lowgate Cemetery, at plot number 139. Blood. Lots of blood. That's where the man was buried, of course. Obviously, something terrible had happened there. The depths of conspiracy and depravity from which this tale is emerging are quite staggering. I've reviewed the police reports from that time extensively. A thorough investigation was conducted by Scotland Yard to ascertain how the convicts managed to escape in the first place. and the conclusion reached by the investigating team was that a member of the prison staff must have been involved. Are you suggesting that a prison warden abetted the man's bid for freedom? Yes, and I was suspected of doing it, of using that mass murderer's execution as a way to help him escape. You did what? I remember now, the horror of it all coming back to me. One evening, a few days after the execution, some detectives came to the prison. I was called to the governor's office at the top of the watchtower. Caden. I'm sorry, Daly. This is a serious business, but can I help you now? As Chief Warder, you were responsible for overseeing the execution at Fare. Well, it seems the fellas at Scotland Yard want to have a few wee words with you about it. You'd better pack your things, laddie. You're to attend in person. And soon as he told me that, my mind just went completely blank. And the next thing I knew, the professor, the most hated killer in our country's history. And I let him escape. I'm finished. My life is over. Oh. Order! Bailiff, fetch a doctor at once. Court is adjourned for today with immediate effect. Oh.
So, with Mr. Vigil's collapse, proceedings came to an abrupt end for the day.
I love these little voice acted bits.
Once again overshadowed by the legacy of that notorious killer, appearing like a cursed ghost ship on a foggy ocean.
The voice actors in this game are incredible. Like, I think they did a perfect job in choosing who would voice act both Ryunosuke, the characters, especially Ryunosuke. Ryunosuke's voice just suits him so well.
Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Vigil, Kazuma, and Gregson. All of them bound by invisible chains anchored to the same wreckage in the murky depths of the past. But the miraculous light that had been trying to cut through the gloom and shine on those tragic events was playing on the edges of the truth at last.
To be continued. Okay, I think we're gonna do maybe some of the investigation. Try and see how much we can get through that. If we can get through all of that today, we'll get through it. But if not, then we'll probably get through the rest of it on Sunday. I still can't believe what just happened. And I have a Discord ping that I am going to check. Okay, there we go. I know, I inquired with the bailiff after the court session was adjourned, and it seems Mr. Vigil was taken to the hospital to recover. Right. 10 years ago now, Mr. Vigil attempted to commit suicide by jumping out of the window of the prison governor's office. But ever since then, he's completely blocked the memory of those events from his mind. Nobody knew his secret, not his family, not even the man himself, but I forced it out into the open. Was it wrong of me to do that? Did I overstep the mark, I wonder? Reno? Oh, it's Iris. Oh, Iris. You're miles away. Anyway, I've brewed a fresh pot of soothing tea for you. Oh, thank you. You and Susie have had have had an exhausting day so far, haven't you? Oh. Thank you, Iris. How thoughtful of you. Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is? When we came out of the courtroom back into the defendant's antechamber, he disappeared. Oh, no, I don't know. He just suddenly sprang to his feet and left. All he said was, I must leave. Oh, okay. I wonder if he's pursuing the mystery of Inspector Gregson's death. Well, you know what Hurley's always saying, don't you? There are mysteries in the world that should perhaps never be solved. For the construction of a solution comes only at the expense of the destruction of something else. What does that mean? He knows very well that when you open someone else's old wounds, you often open your own too. But he can't just take his own advice and leave well alone. Solving mysteries is too important to him. That's so true. But that's what I like about Hurley after all. I suppose that's the lot of a great detective in some ways. So then, let's have some tea and I'll give you a hand. Oh, do you have time, Iris? Yeah, I've finished this month's manuscript at last. We've barely a day left to spare before the deadline. Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. A brand new story to read in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. You know, I always hide Hurley's violin in the days before I have a deadline. You do? Poor Mr. Sholmes. I'm sure that's very wise, Iris. How sensible of you. Now then, my dear fellows, let's make a plan of action before we continue our investigation. Now let's talk with Iris. This morning's trial. So, how did it go in court this morning? Well, we still don't know the truth about what really happened, but one thing's increasingly clear. Lord Van Zeeks definitely didn't do it. Oh, goody. Yeah, that's right. We managed to uncover several new facts as well. Oh, really? And there was another development too. Kazuma. Yeah, it's quite clear now that Kazuma-sama is not himself. The way he's acting, it's almost as if he's possessed. I know, I mean, at the end of the proceedings earlier, he was like a bloodhound the way he was chasing down Mr. Vigil's forgotten past. He's not normally so mercilessly persistent. What's going on in his head, I wonder? I really need to sit down with Kazuma and try to understand what he's going through. Okay, the Reaper's innocence. If Gregson really was murdered the day before his body was discovered, then Lord Van Zeeks has to be innocent, you see. What, the day before? Well, that should be easy enough to work out just by examining the corpse, surely. Yeah, you would expect so, but curiously, no time of death was included in the autopsy report. Huh, that is curious. There are still unanswered questions about Lord Van Zeeks though, aren't there? Ah, do you mean... I mean, what was he doing down on Fresno Street that day in the first place? Well, according to the man's testimony, he said he was investigating Inspector Gregson, didn't he? And it turns out that little room was actually the Inspector's secret office. Well, that sounds like it has all the makings of a wonderfully devilish plot. But then why was that noteboard in there covered in all those particular papers? Papers about cases with a link to the Reaper? I'm starting to get a bad feeling about all of this. Oh dear, that sounds more like something horribly devilish. We must start by looking into Inspector Gregson's movements of late. Okay, Gregson's movements. I never imagined I might have to be investigating the Inspector's movements. Well, according to the entry in his diary, he was carrying out an incognito investigation of the Red-Headed League the day before his death. Oh, you mean he was doing the same as Hurley? Well, Mr. Sholmes was trying to apply, whereas the Inspector was supposed to be investigating. I do wish it had been the other way around. Anyway, as it turns out, the Inspector who went to investigate the Red-Headed League that day wasn't actually Gregson at all. It was Mr. Vigil in possession of Gregson's identification. Huh. You know what that sounds like to me? Establishing an alibi. Oh my. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Iris. But why would Gregson need an alibi? It would appear that the inspector had something to do that he wished to keep secret. I don't believe it. I always thought he was just a harmless lover of fish and chips. But perhaps they were seasoned with something a little more potent than salt and vinegar. I think perhaps we should try to move away from food allergies. Well, anyway, if Lord Van Zieks felt the need to investigate Gregson, yeah, I agree. We must try to find out what he knows. Okay, Mr. Vigil's clinician. Virgil, you say? Isn't that the name of the lady who came to visit Hurley yesterday? That's right. To ask Mr. Sholmes if it would help her to find her missing husband. Only Mr. Sholmes completely passed the buck to us. Actually, didn't you say that Mr. Vigil had been taken to the hospital? Do you know which one? Ah, it's St. Sinners. I'm starting to wonder if all the other hospitals in London have closed down. Literally everyone has decided to go to St. Sinners now. That's amazing, you know. You found the lady's husband already. Well, I suppose I have, by accident. And 10 years ago, while Mr. Vigil was the chief warder at the prison, he was responsible for overseeing the professor's incarceration. No. So when the convict escaped, he was held responsible and immediately dismissed. Ugh. Sometimes I really don't want to grow up. There's more. For 10 years after that, while he was ostensibly working as a peddler, he also had another secret job. He was paid by Gregson to be his stand-in, to impersonate the inspector. To impersonate Gregson? But why? I have absolutely no idea. Ginny was right. I'm starting to think all adults are up to no good now. Including you, Muna. I haven't paid anyone to impersonate me. That means he has ties to the professor and to Inspector Gregson, though. So I do think we ought to pay a visit to Mr. Vigil, don't you? Don't you? Back to St. Sinners then. Well, I think it's clear what we need to do, isn't it? Let's investigate, my dear fellows. Oh, Iris. You're even more enthusiastic than usual today. If anyone has anything to hide, my special Wilson shooting iron will soon set them straight. That water pistol? It's still full of piping hot extra special blender mine. But I'm quite sure it'll be very effective. I'd better be careful not to hide anything. Well, it feels a little strange that Mr. Sholmes is nowhere to be seen, but still. Let's go and see what we can find out. Yeah. Let's do. But first, let's talk to our man, Stockheart. No arguments, Prosecutor Asogi. You will continue the trial exactly as I instructed. Is that clear? Perfectly. It's Kazuma-sama. Defying Lord Strongheart by the sound of it. Never did know when to back down. On your way now, Asogi. My lord. Kazuma. He left without saying a word. Yes? What are you doing here? Oh, I was just hoping to ask you a few questions if you wouldn't mind. I wanted Van Ziek's trial concluded today, but Prosecutor Sogi's unwelcome inquiries are going to make it take longer than necessary. Unwelcome inquiries? As a result, I'm losing even more precious time. Currently, 2 hours, 55 minutes, and 41 seconds. 42, 43... Then we must resolve everything before 3 hours have passed, Mr. Naruhodo. In a miraculous 5 minutes. Anyway, I can't let the man's obvious bad mood put me off. I need information. Okay, let's converse with him. The Reaper. Does Prosecutor Sogi believe that Lord Van Zieks is the Reaper? I wouldn't know. It was 10 years ago in that fateful closed trial that Lord Van Zieks had made a name for himself among the judiciary. But the next trial he fought, he lost. It meant the ringleader of a criminal organization was acquitted, thanks to all the jurors being under duress. But that's awful. The man's freedom was short-lived. He lasted just 3 days. Yeah, let me see. He died in a rock slide at his place of work, I believe. Correct. That was the inauguration of the Reaper at Bailey. And people believe Lord Van Zieks was responsible? He was brought to trial himself, but it was shown to have been an accident. So he must have had a solid alibi then. Nevertheless, the mysterious deaths continued. In total, 16 persons perished in unusual circumstances, ostensibly at the hand of the Reaper. That's a long run of coincidences. Well, the Reaper's true identity may well be revealed by this trial. And the impacts that revelation would have on the British public cannot be understated. Is that why it's a closed trial? Precisely. Closed trial. This country hasn't seen a closed trial for 10 years. So the last one was the professors, the trial of Genshin Asogi. Correct. Actually, we heard that originally. You are going to prosecute that trial yourself, Lord Strongheart. Van Zieks entreated me to relinquish the prosecution to him, that he might avenge his brother's death. And here we are, 10 years later. With the son of the man Van Zieks had condemned, now looking to avenge his father's death in the same way. They do say that what goes around comes around. However, it would seem that the new prosecutor is harboring some ulterior motive as well. Kazuma is? I like my organization to run smoothly in the exact manner that I prescribe. As with the giant clock in here, I won't tolerate a single cog being out of step with the others. So that's what all these gears are about in here. If the young man refuses to mesh with the other parts of my great machine, I will be forced to take steps. What? What do you mean? Not something with which you need to concern yourself. In any case, all your questions will be answered tomorrow. Okay. Now, I shall have to ask you to excuse me. As of this moment, I've been delayed from attending my next meeting by precisely 3 hours. Oh my, that is a long time. And I hold you entirely responsible, even though we miraculously managed to fit everything into not even 5 minutes. Okay, Shonka, I wonder if you might agree to us talking with Prosecutor Asogi? Discussions between the defense and the prosecution outside of the courtroom are generally frowned upon. However, I will make an exception in this case. Now go. You can find him in his office. Oh, thank you. Let's go see him at once, Mr. Naruhodo. Kazuma is my best friend in the world, but I'm really not sure I know how to talk to him at the moment. Okay, we have so many places to go. Okay, we have so many places to go. So I think, what's the first place we should go? Do we go to Kazuma's office? Let's have Mr. Vigil's hospital bed we can go to. You know what, let's talk with Van Zieks first. Let's talk to Van Zieks first. Lord Van Zieks is reading, look. It doesn't seem like he wants visitors, does it? But he must have noticed that we're here, surely. Yeah, because you're loud as fuck. What do you want? What do you Nipponese want? There's no way to greet the lawyer who's trying his hardest to prove your innocence, is it? Perhaps not. I apologize. So what can I do for you, Mr. Naruhodo? Lord Van Zieks, speaking earnestly. Oh, the fog will lift over London for the first time in months tomorrow. This does feel very, very strange. I must say, I was impressed. Oh, well, thank you. Not by you, by your fellow Nipponese, your prosecutor friend. Oh, by Kazuma. Oh, I see, yeah. It's sardonic, don't you think? For a man such as me, so loathing of the Nipponese, to be entirely at the mercy of the two of you. I suppose it's retribution for having played the part of the Reaper all these years. Played the part? Converse. You once told me that you gladly allowed people to believe you were the Reaper because it helped reduce the amount of serious crime that took place in London. If keeping quiet and playing the part of benefits the cause I myself am committed to pursuing, then why would I choose to say anything? But the henchman of a criminal killed by the Reaper attacked you only the other day. And that was just the most recent of many attempts on your life, wasn't it? Someone is clearly profiting from your silence about all this. Someone is using you. Believe me, ever since the Reaper first appeared, I've been doing my utmost to expose him. Or rather, expose the organization. Ah, it's a whole organization? It's inconceivable that all those accidents were orchestrated by one man. No, the Reaper always appears to have very accurate information about the accused in every case, which can only mean, oh yeah, add in 5 minutes, that somebody at Scotland Yard is involved. Someone you can't mean. It's taken me many years, but I finally identified the central figure in this Reaper organization. Tobias Gregson. No! Gregson, the Reaper? Gregson being the actual Reaper. I don't believe it. So the reason you were investigating Inspector Gregson is because you intended to expose him as the Reaper? As I said, the Reaper and the Bailey is no single person. It's a highly secret organization with close ties to Scotland Yard. But there's no doubt that Gregson was a key member of that organization. Oh. I don't believe it. Are you saying that Gregson, that he was behind all those awful criminals meeting there? Gregson didn't do the dirty work himself. Yeah, Gregson wouldn't do that dirty work himself. Oh. He was the tactician. His job was to covertly investigate the marks and plot their assassinations. In order to do that without arousing suspicion, he regularly needed a firm alibi, which is where Mr. Vigil came in, posing as the inspector. Vigil knows nothing of the Reaper, but the room he rents on Fresno Street was almost certainly the headquarters of the operation. Gregson would have met the assassin there for briefings, so we don't actually know who carried out the killings then. Actually, I do have a name. You are? Well, if you can name the man, you have the true identity of the Reaper already then. Or, if I can name the woman. Oh. She's a young woman by the name of Asa Sheen. Wait a minute, what? Sheen? Wait. Oh, I forgot about this. I forgot her actual name was Asa Sheen. Miss Asa Sheen, the true name of a terrifying killer I know only too well. It was Josiah Brer. She came to Japan posing as a visiting student and murdered Dr. John H. Wilson. Then, just when it seemed that diplomatic protection would help her escape Japan and conviction, the mysterious woman was herself murdered in a small summer beach hut. And that woman was actually the Reaper of the Bailey? Mr. Naruhodo, this perhaps isn't the place to discuss. No, of course not. We can't mention it here. The fact that she killed Dr. John H. Wilson. Because Iris doesn't know, and it's very likely that the man was her father. Tell her! I swear, she has mentioned that Dr. John H. Wilson was her father at least once. Just tell her! This is one of the most frustrating things of this game. That Ryunosuke and Susato don't tell Iris that her dad is potentially dead. It's like dead, so Asa Sheen, I should let father know at once. Yes, I agree. Prosecutor Soge. Kazuma, isn't it? Kazuma Soge. You say he's a friend of yours? My best friend. He's the whole reason I got to come to Britain. It was all on his merits. I have nothing but respect for him. And we've got to remember that Susato was originally Kazuma's judicial assistant before becoming our judicial assistant after Kazuma supposedly quote-unquote died. Yeah, I understand that only the very best students are selected for such opportunities. And I had a fine demonstration of how sharp he is in the proceedings earlier today. He missed nothing. In fact, his flawless performance very much reminded me of his father, of Genshin. Genshin Asobi, the professor. It's true that the aristocracy at the time was the root of numerous grave societal problems. They are abusing their power, playing with the common man as pawns in politics, in economics, in war. In many ways, Asogi was carving out a canker from a society that we British couldn't deal with ourselves. I understand soon, by the way. I see. But that's precisely why it makes no sense. Clint Van Zieks was a noble and upstanding man. He wasn't corrupt. Why did that damned Nipponese have to go and take my brother's life? In spite of having once saved mine, he saved your life? How did that happen? It was 10 years ago, on a foggy night. What was to be the professor's final strike had sent a wave of panic through the capital. So Clint Van Zieks had already been killed at this point then. Genji and I were walking down some back streets at a late hour. Of course, at that point, I had no idea of the true nature of the man at my side. All of a sudden, don't make a peep, you're coming with us. Ad is in progress. Whoa. I don't stretch. Shit. We have so many parts of this trial, so I might try and get like. I'm undecided on whether I should do the deductions right now this stream or on Sunday. We'll have to see. Don't know whether to finish this investigation today or not. We'll just see. We'll just have to see in it. And everyone should be coming back now. Welcome back from the yard. Don't make a peep, you're coming with us. We were surrounded. All of our assailants were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scarves. Clint was not only from noble heritage, He was a brilliant prosecutor as well. The scum of London hated the sight of him, and they had no sympathy for his younger brother either. I'd been targeted several times before already. Yeah, it's Van Zeke's alright. We got him. I could hear them murmuring amongst themselves. I knew they're after me. When I thought my time had come, if I let them kill you, Clint would never forgive me. It was a Sogi's voice, just a whisper in my ear. But Genshin killed Clint. So, what was his reasoning for protecting Barok? After that, I don't remember exactly what happened. The next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on a cobbled street. Blood was seeping from his left hand. He'd shielded me. Two days later, they arrested him on suspicion of being London's most notorious mass murderer ever, the Professor. How awful for you. All at once, I lost a brother I revered and the foreign friend I held in such high regard. I'm so sorry, Lord Van Zeeks. That's the end of my miserable tale. I never thought I'd recount it to anyone. Well, thank you for confiding in me. The Professor, the Reaper, and Inspector Gregson. I wonder just how intimately related they all are. I still can't quite believe that Gregson was essentially the Reaper, giving assassination orders to Giselle Brett. Mr. Naruhodo, let's go and inform my father. I'm sure our government will want to hear about this new information. Oh, that means I get to meet your daddy, Susie. Hooray! Yeah, alright. Let's head back to the Great Waterloo Hotel then. Okay, let's go to the Great Waterloo then. Move. New location has been added. Okay, let's go to Great Waterloo Hotel. I thought it was yesterday and I think again today. This place is so princely. It's a wild guess, but I have a feeling you'll think the same tomorrow too. My tea has a finer fragrance than whatever they're serving in the tea room here though, wouldn't you say? Ah, look what we have here. This is an unexpected pleasure. Ah, it's Eugene. It's Eugene. Ah, father. Oh, is this your daddy, Susan? How lovely. What a charming young lady. And you are? Ah, really? So you're the author of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, are you? That's me, Iris Wilson, at your service, sir. Susan's been such a wonderful friend to me over the last year, you know. Well, Miss Wilson, I must say I read your work regularly and with much interest. Iris actually lives with Mr. Sholmes, you know, father. Is that so? Well, perhaps that goes some way to explaining that bright look in your eyes. You wouldn't be smiling so airily if you knew just how bright she is, believe me. Yeah, she's such a smart little kid. Now then, young Naruhodo, it was a pleasure seeing you in action earlier. As an invitee of the symposium, I was allowed to observe from the gallery after I twisted some arms. And I must say, it was a truly exemplary performance. Oh well, thank you very much. Although I'm fairly sure you were admitted by Kazuma on the end there. No, please don't misunderstand. It was you who pressed me. Oh, really? You didn't miss a step against the Sogi, and we all know how capable he is. Really? To have matured into such a fine defense lawyer in less than a year is quite extraordinary. It's very kind of you to say so. And really nice to hear. What I saw in court today confirmed what I'd been hoping for. The favor I mentioned yesterday, Naruhodo, I trust you haven't forgotten? Oh, no, you did mention something, didn't you? But first, we have something to report, father. Of course. Shall we take tea while we discuss matters further? I wonder where Judge Jigoku has got to. Yeah, we haven't seen him in a while. Father, do you know about the so-called Reaper of the Bailey? I've heard rumors. Some members of the judiciary explained it all to me yesterday. Of course, when I was a visiting student here in London, the Reaper was yet to emerge, but he didn't appear until after that case when the visiting students had already returned home. Lord Van Zieks, who was in the dock today, that was Barok, the younger brother of Clint Van Zieks, I believe. That's right, and he's known throughout London as the Reaper, as you've heard. But the truth is, it wasn't him behind all those mysterious deaths. It was somebody else. I see. So what you're saying is there's been a professional killer at work here? Exactly. Someone by the name of Assassin, in fact. I beg your pardon. Did you just say Assassin? You mean that Giselle Brett woman who was responsible for killing my great friend? Oh no, a friend of yours was killed? Professor Mikotoba, I think perhaps we shouldn't discuss this right now. Just tell her! Just tell her that he's dead. Oh my god, just tell him. Just tell her, please. Because the friend the Professor is talking about is Dr. John H. Wilson. And that's not something we want Iris to find out about. Not like this, anyway. It's been almost a year since you've come to Great Britain and met Iris. And yet you still haven't told her that potentially her dad is dead. I've just remembered something. Biscuits. This hotel has the most delicious looking biscuits. Those are out of the blue. She's doing this deliberately. I think I'll go and see if I can purchase some. I wonder, would you like to come too, Iris? Oh yes. You just tried to leave me behind. Yeah, she's doing that deliberately. So that young girl is called Iris Wilson, is she? Yes, that's right. And she's the author of all those adventure stories starring the great detective Sholmes. But the name of the credited author isn't Iris, is it? It's Dr. John H. Wilson. Yeah, I know. That's the name of her father, you see. Her father? Dr. John H. Wilson. I was deeply indebted to the man for all the kindness he showed me during my time in London. That's why I was so keen to reciprocate and invite him to the Imperial Yume University 4 years ago. But he was murdered last year by Giselle Brett. Why? Why would the hand of the Reaper stretch all the way to Japan? Iris knows nothing about that case, but it seems very likely that the victim, Dr. Wilson, was her father. Well, I can't say that we ever spoke about his family, so I don't know if he had a daughter or not. But I think I can say with some certainty that he was never the great detective's partner. So it could have been another Dr. Wilson, you think? Well, John and Wilson are both common names after all. Still, it's probably best not to mention this to the young lady until we can be sure. That's what we thought, yes. We're back with cinnamon biscuits. Ooh, they smell delicious, Iris. I think cinnamon will go very well with the tea they serve here. And you, Susie? Yes, I'm sure you're right, Iris. Okay, let's talk to him about Judge Jigoku, Shishiro Jigoku. I haven't seen Judge Jigoku for a while, have you? That guilty is still ringing in my ears. No, now you mention it, I haven't seen him since this morning either. I suppose since the symposium's opening was postponed, he'll have gone to explore the Great Exhibition. Oh, is the Great Exhibition still open? That reminds me of something you mentioned yesterday. About Judge Jigoku having once been in the dock himself. Ah yeah, it was all tied up with that cursed trial. the closed trial of Kazuma's father. Sashiro was trying to mitigate Genshin's guilt, so he took to the stand to testify, but he got a little carried away and actually managed to break the witness stand. My. He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire, for which he was charged. Oh dear, although it's worryingly easy to imagine him doing that. Well, it was alright in the end. He was acquitted and we returned home to Japan together. Thank goodness. Ah yes, talking of Sashiro, I have a copy of the photograph we all took together here yesterday. Please. Oh, what a lovely picture. It suddenly seems to shout we've arrived in bread. Okay, well that's been added to our court record. None of us had any idea what was coming when we took that, did we? No. No, that's so true. A favour. So, you mentioned a favour that you'd like to ask me. Well, this fateful trial that you're fighting, one way or another, it will be over before long. And what it is, I'd like you to accompany me back to Japan. You want me to do what? Father, what's the meaning of this? Now, Psssttt, you should understand. You've seen how our courts work firsthand. Japan's judicial system is in its infancy, especially when it comes to defense. Oh, you mean the Supreme Court of Judicature is in desperate need of a good defense lawyer as soon as possible, really quite urgently, in fact. But I've not even been in London a year yet. I've read all of Pssst's reports. I'm well aware of your extraordinary talents. And having seen you in action with my own eyes earlier today, there's no question. You, now Hado, are precisely the man our country needs. So, you'd be leaving then, Reno? But then, what am I supposed to do, Father? You came here to serve as a Sogi's judicial assistant. Oh yeah, she's supposed to be Kazuma's assistant. Our government is still in the process of deciding how best to deal with his situation though. Yeah, you've always chosen your own path, Psssttt, and I trust your judgment in this matter also. Father! Please, the pair of you, don't look so downcast. It's merely a suggestion, you understand? I hope, if I'm honest, but I won't force you. All I ask is that you consider it and come to a decision by the time this trial concludes. Yes, alright. You won't leave, will you, Reno? The thought hadn't even crossed my mind. Up until now, I've just been trying to do what I believed to be Kazuma's will, but it turns out that he's still alive, so... And what does that leave me? Well, if you'll excuse me now, I need to telegraph government ministers and the Japanese police with this information about Asashine. Of course, Father. Thank you. I look forward to next month's installment, Miss Wilson. Oh, good. And please, do come back to Baker Street sometime, won't you? We'd love to entertain you. I would be delighted. The best of luck for tomorrow now, Hado. And give my suggestion your full consideration, won't you? Yes, I will. Going back home? Still, it feels weird that Ryunosuke might go back to Japan after being in, England for so long. Kazuma-sama has always meant a great deal to my father. I'm sure he'd love the chance to meet with him and talk to him about all of this. Yeah, no doubt. Asashine. Of course, it's so obvious. How could I have neglected to consider the impossibility before now? Mr. Sholmes! Hurley, where have you been? Why, I joined you all for tea, of course. What an extraordinary question. I didn't notice you at all. No matter, no matter. Anyway, to more pressing concerns. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes? I must dispatch a telegram to your country at once. It is a matter of much urgency. To Japan, you mean? Tell me, to whom can I entrust the task? Quickly now, who? Well, my father has just now left to send a telegram to the Imperial Police Bureau of Japan itself. I see. Well, he looks reliable enough for a bearded fellow. I don't think what father sports could be considered a beard, Mr. Sholmes. There is not a moment to lose. Kindly ask your trusty, unshaven father to see this is sent. I will, but what is it? No questions at this time, if you please, Mrs. Sato. All we can do is pray. That for once, my deduction is alright. Doesn't that imply that your deductions are normally correct, Mr. Sholmes? It isn't exactly. Now then. You may be surprised to learn that I'm a very busy man. I certainly have no time to hide behind settees and eavesdrop on other people's conversations. So that's what joining us with tea meant. I leave the sending of this in your hands then, my dear fellows. Wait a minute, Mr. Sholmes. He just sort of ran off dinner at quite a pace and left the unpaid bill for his tea behind too. For fuck's sake, man, honestly. I must catch up with father at the telegram office at once. And I'll run and call a cab straight away. And there was me thinking everyone would be clamoring to pay Mr. Sholmes' bill. Yay, now it's just real risky. Okay, let's go. I guess next would be the hospital. Maybe. Yeah. Saint Sinners. This is the one where Mr. Vigil was brought, apparently. And to be frank, I'm a little worried about seeing him again. Here he is. The lawyer. Hello again. Are you feeling better now, Mr. Vigil? Yeah, thank you. Somewhat better. I'm so sorry to have caused you to... it was because of me. If I hadn't exposed your secret and forced you to remember things you'd obviously tried to forget. The prosecutor was here until a few moments ago too. You just missed him. Oh, Kazuma beat us to it. He said much the same as you. He was very apologetic. But the truth is, I brought all this upon myself. Please, don't think like that. Keeping it from Evie, my wife, all these years, I've carried such a sense of guilt. But that's not the worst of it. Over time, I obviously came to deceive myself as well. You mean about your dismissal? Looking back now, I'm beginning to think that perhaps Inspector Gregson didn't stumble across me by accident at all. He compensated me so generously for acting as his stand-in. He was clearly concerned for my well-being and doing what he could to help. So perhaps Gregson knew exactly what had become of Mr. Vigil all along then. I'm sure this is just desserts for 10 years of lies and deception, but it wasn't me that helped the professor escape 10 years ago. It wasn't me. I swear it's true. Oh, Mr. Vigil. I'm sure you'd rather not dredge up even more from your past at this time, but if possible, could you tell us exactly what really happened? I want to. I need to get all of this off my chest. I just want someone to tell me what I should have done. Let's talk to him. Gregson's request. Inspector Gregson was obviously engaged in a special operation of some sort. He was investigating something that even Scotland Yard couldn't know about. Details of the Reaper's marks, yes. It was when he had to carry out those investigations that I'll take his identification and impersonate him. You'd pretend to be the inspector and carry out investigations on his behalf? Oh no, never. A common street peddler couldn't possibly carry out a proper police investigation. All I would do is go to the specified location and make a little hoo-ha. Just something to leave an impression, so everyone there would think a detective called Gregson was here. So, that's what you were doing on the day prior to the incident? Yeah, he asked me to make an appearance at a park on Lime Street for the Red-Headed League event. So as usual, I flashed the inspector's identification around and was very vocal about my presence. But then you were taken prisoner by those red-headed fraudsters. Yeah. So, you would always make a point of showing Gregson's identification and generally being loud? That's what the inspector asked me to do, yes. But that's one way of becoming a legendary detective, I suppose. Not a good one, though. As you know, I suffered this bruising around my neck at their hands. But the following day, they kept their word and released me. Without returning the inspector's identification to you, however. We had arranged to meet in the Fresno Street room at 5 that day so I could report back to the inspector. But at the agreed time, that's when I heard the gunshot. The prison escape. It was at midnight on the 17th of June, 10 years ago. That was the time scheduled for the execution. But the professor's execution never actually took place, did it? Or rather, the execution itself must have been used to effect the plan of escape. I hardly dare to imagine what a chilling plan it was. Berkeley was renowned for being the highest security prison in the country. Everything that went in and out of the place was searched multiple times. But there was one notable exception, or rather, one notable loophole, something that was never questioned. I have a feeling I know what that loophole was now. The coffins into which the bodies of the executed convicts were placed, correct? Yeah. Once the coroner had confirmed the death of a condemned convict, the body was taken in its coffin for immediate burial in Millgate Cemetery just behind the prison. The chief warder first had to send the necessary papers. And after that, no member of staff was permitted to touch the coffin containing the body again. When executions took place, only the executioner and the coroner were permitted inside the chamber. I would wait in the adjacent room for word that the condemned convict was dead. On that occasion, once I had that confirmation, I went into the mortuary to find a lone coffin as usual. The procedure was that I would sign the paperwork, having checked the coffin, then nail it shut. But for some reason that day, the coffin was already nailed shut. No. I didn't think anything of it at the time. I assumed that my deputy must have checked the coffin and nailed it shut before I had arrived. So you mean the coffin contained... Yes. I can only imagine that Asogi, having escaped his execution somehow, was alive inside the coffin. The coffin was then taken out through the main gates and deposited in Lowgate Cemetery. Presumably, there wouldn't have been enough air inside to breathe for that long. So in the early hours following the burial, somebody dug up the coffin again to set Genshin free. But in the end, he was fatally shot in the graveyard anyway. What on earth really happened in Lowgate Cemetery that night, I wonder? I'm afraid I really don't know. All I can say with certainty are two things. Asogi couldn't possibly have escaped that way without help from somebody working in the prison. And that somebody was not me. The convict Asogi. Obviously you knew the man then? The professor, I mean? Genshin Asogi. Yeah, I remember him well, in fact. Would you mind telling us what you know? Well, having been condemned to death as he was, any contact I had with the man was short, obviously. After that trial, which was carried out behind closed doors, attended only by elite members of the judiciary, they called for its execution to be carried out at the earliest possible opportunity. The outcome of the trial was set from the beginning, wasn't it? It was a time of delicate diplomacy when Britain and Japan were in the process of signing an important treaty. That meant that this potentially destabilizing case had to be dealt with safely and discreetly. The man had less than a week in total. As I was a chief warder, I oversaw his short stay in the cells until his final hour. I remember being struck deeply by his noble character and incredible resilience. What do you mean exactly? He was a killer of many men, but he was always quiet and polite. He was a gentleman and a man of intellect. In fact, I couldn't bring myself to believe what he'd done, so I asked him one day. Those 5 members of the aristocracy whose lives were taken, were you really responsible? I'm guilty of the unforgivable crime of ending another human's life, yes. Okay, the following day, the closed trial took place, and the verdict was no surprise. Guilty. That night when he was brought back to his cell, I saw something. Something unusual. Something unusual? What? The last will and testament of Genshin Asogi. As I said, it was on the night following his trial after he'd been found guilty. I was in the rounds of the cells, and when I looked into Asogi's, I noticed that he seemed to have a sheet of paper in his hand. Ah, his last will and testament then, presumably. As soon as he noticed me, he hurriedly shoved it behind his back. But why did you find that so unusual? Isn't it normal for a man to pen a will when he knows his death is nigh? Yeah, that's true. But there are special conditions to Asogi's incarceration, you see. What sort of conditions? Well, even though he was held in a cell designed for condemned inmates, he was allowed to keep his personal effects with him, with one exception. Really? He was allowed his things? That is unusual, certainly. Of course, he'd been convicted of killing 5 members of the aristocracy, but at the same time, he was a guest in our country from the Empire of Japan. The powers that were determined that his final days shouldn't be needlessly uncomfortable. And what was the exception you mentioned to the personal effects he was allowed? That's the point. He wasn't permitted to have writing materials. Specifically, no pens or papers. So, he was prevented from leaving any written record of what had happened to him? Yes, that was the long and short of it. I've no idea where he obtained that paper. Any writing materials would have been confiscated from him upon his incarceration. As I said, he hid the paper behind his back, and then he pleaded with me. What did you just hide behind your back? Please turn a blind eye. This is my lifeline. But you know it's against the rules. You're the only person who's seen. If you just agree to keep quiet. Alright then, what's on that paper? Our last will and testament. This will is the only weapon I have left now. Okay. How can a will be a weapon? So I decided to pretend I'd seen nothing and I let him keep his will. But then later, it just seemed to vanish without a trace. What? What do you mean it vanished? It would seem that this isn't the end of the story of this mysterious will. Will's disappearance. I was the only person who saw Asogi's will, but somehow it disappeared. It was after Asogi's execution, which was actually an elaborate jailbreak. The warders gathered up Asogi's possessions that were in his cell. They were ultimately sent back to his family home in Japan, you see. To poor Kazuma-sama. I'm just saying that it wasn't anywhere to be found among his personal effects. This will, I mean, that's right. Though I didn't search through them myself. But Governor Caden was livid. He was screaming, can I have disappeared completely? That doesn't quite make sense though, does it? In what way? Well, we'd understood that only Mr. Vigil was aware of the will's existence. In which case, how did the prison governor know to look for it? Oh yeah, you're right. I really don't know how he knew, but it certainly seemed as though he knew of the will's existence from the outset. Only he didn't refer to it as a will. What he said was, the Asogi papers. The Asogi papers? I really can't tell you anything of the subsequent events. Because, well, of what happened. Your dismissal and the way you blocked it all from your memory. I'd forgotten all this until today. I don't suppose it's relevant to the case though. Well, anyway, thank you very much for sharing it with us, Mr. Vigil. We're very grateful. I'm afraid there's really little more I can tell you. My wife Evie will be here shortly, so I do hope I don't appear rude, but... No, that's all. Thank you again. But what will become of you now? Well, impersonating a police officer is a criminal offense, of course. I imagine that once I'm fully recovered, I shall be arrested. I'm so sorry. Don't be, please. This was all my own doing. I always knew that this day would come. Well, I wish you very well. Goodbye, Mr. Vigil. What are you screaming about? Before you go, there's just one thing. Oh, yes? What is it? The Asogi papers. I'd be very grateful if you'd make no mention of the things I told you about them. Presumably for some good reason. It's my understanding that their very existence is a closely guarded secret. If it became known that I'd remembered, well, it could be rather troublesome, I think. I understand. Some sort of will that Genshin Asogi penned just before his death, which the man himself claimed was his last weapon. I wonder, perhaps it had been something to do with his plan to escape. If there's anyone who might know more about a document that Kazuma's father's left, it would be Mr. Vigil's governor. That we know precisely where, then we know precisely where we must go. Back to Barclay prison. Okay, let's go. Why does it keep saying a new location has been added? There's no new location. Okay, I went to the wrong bloody place. I went to the Lord Chief Justice's office instead of the prisoner governor's office. I went to the wrong office. Here he is, Caden. Alright, back again, are ya? Yeah, hello. I read all about your investigations. I read the report just now. You found him, eh? Vigil. Yeah, luckily. Well, anyhow, the laddie doesn't work here no more. So the case is now to do with Barclay. I wouldn't like you to get the wrong idea about it. That. Of course, yeah. Mr. Vigil stopped working here 10 years ago now, so... Yeah, we've seen his dismissal notice, haven't we? And he was given the job. Aye, Kimmer. You can very well. So how about we handcuff Biscuit? That looks like Cheerios. Oh, they really are like little handcuffs. And as hard as irons too. So, what's brought you down there today? Well, there's something else we'd like to ask you about, actually. Is that so? We believe there might have been a document that disappeared from Genshin Asogi's cell. I think it's been called the Asogi Papers or something. Did I not say? Gregson's death is now to do with things that might have happened at Barclay. Leave the past in the past, laddie. Let's not photo about with irrelevant details. His expressions changed completely. We're clearly onto something here. Okay, let's ask him about stuff. Converse. 10-year-old legacy. That murderer's botched execution and the whole miserable escape. There were Barclay's darkest hour a shocking embarrassment. Because the convict had a collaborator on the prison staff, you mean? Aye, for shame. The coroner who confirmed the death of the man after his execution, Courtney Syfe, and my chief warder at the time, Vigil, he was in charge of the whole affair. But Mr. Vigil says he didn't know anything about it. The rascal wouldn't say otherwise, eh? More handcuffs? Oh, how can I say no? You can never have too much iron in your diet. You probably can. When Mr. Vigil was handed his dismissal notice as a result of what had happened, he was so despairing he jumped out of your office window, didn't he? I didn't like to say, but that's just Vigil trying to get out of it. Do you not think you would have jumped from the shock of his crimes being exposed then? I do. You wouldn't say otherwise though, would you? Of course I kinda shouldn't all responsibility myself. I shouldn't have let him deceive me. Actually, there's barely anybody that kens what went on at the time. Would Gregson having been murdered and Dr. Syfe forbidden from having any visitors? No visitors? Someone obviously doesn't want her giving anything away. Well, we're not going home empty-handed. And I wouldn't dream of sending you packing without Kimmer. Here, take a handcuff too. Oh well, it would be rude to say no. It wouldn't want to become anemic. I suppose if there's anybody who might still care about what happened back then, it'd be that lass from the forensics division, Mariah Gore. Mariah Gore? Aye, Seth's daughter. She didn't have no more, just the one. But the wee Burns followed in her mum's footsteps, and you didn't ever seen her without a scalpel in her hand. Ah. Oh, that's her. Mama, what is this? I forgot about her entirely. Ah, where did she spring from? And did you just call the doctor Mama? Dr. Syfe's daughter, Maria Gore. We could do with talking to her. Gore. So, she's Dr. Syfe's daughter, but her surname is Gore? Aye, there's some family history I'm sure, but I didn't ken the ins and outs of it. She grew up watching her mum working with the bodies of folk who died in strange circumstances, and decided to do the same with her own life. I cannot understand it myself. Perhaps she was driven by a deep respect for her mother. Perhaps. Anyhow, she was in charge of Gregson's autopsy, I believe. Right, and the coroner responsible for this incomplete report. Someone told me once that the wee lassie always loved her mum's stories about cutting up bodies. There's even a rumour that she used to listen to the funeral march as a lullaby. Well, then perhaps her mother might have told her about the other autopsies in the case 10 years ago. I think there's a fighting chance at least. After all, that was a life-changing event for all of us. We really need to speak to Miss Gory herself about this, I think. Well, thank you very much. I'm not happy about any part of this. It took years for Londoners to finally forget the whole professor business. Can you give up on this, laddie? And stop asking pointless questions. I'm sorry, I don't like judging up these painful memories for everyone. Can you just stay away now? Leave me alone and Dina come back here, eh? I have one more thing to ask you though, about these Soki papers. How'd you come to ken about that, laddie? There's not many folk even in the prison who've heard of those papers. Ah well, I can't tell him, Mr. Vigil told me. I'm afraid our sources must remain confidential, sir. He's not too happy about that. We've been led to believe that papers are actually a last will and testament, is that right? The professors, or rather, Genshin Asogi's. That's right. You're well informed, Jimmy. Oh, is that the end of the silent treatment? But then after the convict's execution, it mysteriously vanished from his cell, didn't it? Others, no, you're half-cocked there. I think you didn't quite get your facts straight. It was there in the cell, exactly where it should have been. Oh, not what we heard elsewhere. Let me just have a wee poke around there. I'm sure I can find it. Here you are. See? Last one testament of Genshin Asogi, written with a calligraphy brush. Of course, I can't even read a word of those Japanese scribbles. By mind, it says he leaves all his worldly possessions to his son back in his homeland. Yeah, that's correct. That's the gist of it. So these are the Asogi papers? Aye, of course they are. Papers written by Asogi, no doubt about it. There's no mystery here, laddie. That's your law. After the Strassman, that slayster of an execution, we send the man's possessions back to his clan in Japan, and that was the end of it. I think we ought to make a record of this, Mr. Naruhodo, just in case. And that has been added to our court record. One thing before you go on your way, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh yeah? Those papers are now to do with Gregson's death. I prefer if you didn't make no mention of them outside this office. Or rather, I wouldn't just prefer it. Consider it an order from the highest levels of our government. I understand. These are gonna get brought up in another trial, I'm sure. Okay, let's move to, I think that's everything. Prosecutor's office. Okay, I think now it's a good place where I'm gonna save it and then leave the rest of this trial till, well, leave the rest of this investigation till so they're back to title, double save, because why not? Keep forgetting that we can save once we quit the title. But yeah. But yeah, hope you have enjoyed this stream. We have just a little bit to go now. We have just a few more places we need to visit, and then we have 2 great deductions to do. We've got quite a lot actually, so we'll probably get this done in Sunday stream. This will probably take a while if I did it all in one stream today, so kind of glad I'm doing it a different stream. I'm doing it on Sunday, even doing the rest of it on Sunday. So anyways, let's find somebody to raid. And I think we'll raid Nordic. We'll raid Nordic for a bit. What's he playing? Bellwright Adventures? Yeah. Whoever this game is that he's playing. So anyways, let's go raid Nordic. Slash raid Nordic Lost. Hope you have enjoyed the stream. All my socials are in the about me section or in the commands. If you're watching on YouTube, then they are in the description. Twitter is probably the best place to see streaming updates. And yeah, I shall see you guys on Sunday. Bye 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 bye.